time, yeah. I never have a sin to my name. I have to watch mama ball and make you take with the pain. Tough time, yeah. So much stress on my brain. All me know is things can't afford to stay the same. Me have my reasons, and you not have to see them. Yeah, but in order to bring the changes, you have to be them. Yeah, me and my G them. No, we not deal with treason. Yeah, we work hard just to maintain throughout the season.
Yes, people, we're locked in once again to the Big Bad Station, aratradio.com. And you know what? I have with me a very special guest, a big bad producer. You know that, okay? It goes by the name of IOTOSH. And of course, we always let the people that I interview introduce themselves. So tell the people a little something about you.
Yeah, man, blessings. This is IOTOSH. You know, I'm a producer and artist based in Kingston, Jamaica. You know, 23-year-old youth, just I make music, you know.
Definitely. Wow, 23, definitely feeling that one as well. So tell us, tell us about your journey, how it all developed, how it all came about, because it seems like you as a magician and still are a great musician and also producing. How did that journey begin and start?
Well, you know, I really started making music because of my parents. You know, they were heavily into music, and I think what inspired me production-wise, because that's what I did first, was my mom bought me one of those little cheap Casio keyboards, and I just fooled around, and that's how I started making music, you know.
Wow, for real. Because, you know, I read that you were inspired by a Japanese kind of hip-hop producer.
Yeah, Nujabes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
so what was it about him that kind of influenced you on that?
I think prior to hearing his stuff, I was listening to a lot of live instruments, if that makes sense. So I was listening to a lot of funk and soul, like 70s, 80s music. And when I heard his music for the first time, it kind of introduced me to the world of sampling. So, you know, in hip-hop where they sample those same 70s and 80s records, but they flip them and give it a little, you know, they give it something special. So when I heard him doing those things, it kind of, I was like, whoa, what's this? You know?
For real. Yeah, because it seems like that seems to be kind of the fusion, I suppose, with a lot of the up-and-coming reggae artists, you know, the likes of Chronix, Kabaka P, and the list continues. Do you think it's a positive thing that's happening in our kind of reggae music coming up now?
I mean, it's, some people will have different opinions on it, but I think it's just growth, you know. Some people might argue it's negative growth or positive growth, but I just think it's an evolution of the music. And to me, once the music remains rooted, that's the most important thing, you know. So as long as we're not throwing away all of the things that make our music special, such as the message in the music, you know, then I'm cool with it. I like the experimentation.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. And, you know, there's something very distinctive about your sounds, you know, when you're starting off your tune, it's like, ayo, like that. So tell us about that. Tell us about that.
That's the producer tag, you know. I recorded that on my phone years ago, you know. I'd hear some of my favorite producers at that time, you know, like KRS, Chris, you know, Jalen, King Benjamin. These are people on SoundCloud, young youths in my age range, and they would have producer tags, and I'd be like, hey, I want people to know who did this beat as well, you know. And been implementing it ever since.
Definitely. And you know what, it's a catchy one as well. That one's catchy.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the timing of it. It's like triplets. So it kind of, it's different, you know.
Definitely. Yeah. So tell us about that. Tell us about your name and you kind of, why you called IOTOSH.
You know, that's my first name.
Okay.
That's the name that my parents gave me, my father specifically. And I'm not quite sure of the meaning anymore. I've heard different stories from different people about the meaning of it, but you know, it's just a very unique name.
For real. Definitely.
It works out in my favor as a musician.
For real, definitely. And then, you know, what is it about, you know, Jamaica? Because I love Jamaica, family's from there. tell us about it in the sense of the power of so much great music that comes from, I suppose, a little island, but it's making so much airwaves.
I mean, it's a little island, but it just holds so much history and culture, you know, and I think that is the root that I spoke about earlier in our music, is that it's rooted in so many, you know, situations and rooted in the people and their situation. That is, it's not unique to anywhere else. Like other places have experienced the same things, but it's so concentrated. You know, like a small island where there's just so much happening, squeezed into this small speck on the map, you know?
Yeah, for real. As they say, little but we talawa, yeah?
Exactly, little but we talawa.
Definitely. And so, what is it like being a producer, you know? Because people know, or they see a little piece of the artistry, but we don't really know a lot about producers and kind of what you guys do. So tell us.
Yeah, well, you know, production, it's really two things in from my perspective. Production, you can either be composing a beat, you know, like playing, like sequencing your drums or playing your instruments and putting a song on it and kind of creating that final product. You don't have to be the one to sing the lyrics, or you don't even have to play the instrument, but you see the song through from its inception to the finished product, you know? Yeah.
Well, because, you know, we're seeing a lot more artists, you know, kind of go into that field as well. You know, we had Junior Gong, Kabaka P. Everyone's kind of taking a producer kind of influence. And it's really positive to kind of see, you know, because then they have a perspective as an artist as well.
Right.
Yeah, for real.
So that helped them with the whole structuring and arrangement of the song, which is also a producer's role. You know? So being familiar with everything as an artist, like, it really helps. And those people you mentioned, you know, Gong or Kabaka, like, they've done so many songs and they know exactly how it should be structured, you know.
For real, definitely. But how does that help you? Because, you know, like I said earlier, you're a great artist as well. And
appreciate it.
Definitely feeling, like I said before, the song Reasons. That song is a deep song. And of course, you know, how did that kind of all come about and happen?
Well, Reasons specifically, that was produced by Jamie Radigan and Aaron Horn, a group called Crate Classics. And really that song came about, you know, we had a mutual connection who sent me beats on Jamie's behalf, and I got the beat and I was just going through life at the time, and I wrote about what was happening, and I actually didn't plan to even release it. Like, it felt very personal, and I was just like, you know, maybe I should just keep this one for now, you know. But what ended up happening is that David Radigan ended up getting a hold of the song, and he played it on BBC, you know, he played it on his show, and he picked it up, and a lot of people were saying, yo, like, where's the song? Because at that point, there's no cover art, there's no Spotify link, it's just, you know, on the radio show, and I was like, alright, I definitely, like, people love this, I should put this out, you know.
For real. I think what it is as well, it's talking about some struggles, you know, that a lot of people go through. And so I think it makes it so real. I think that's what it is.
For sure, authenticity will always connect with the people, you know, like, some people don't like the reality of things, so they listen to other music that's just an escape. But when music, when it line up with your reality, you know, it kind of, for some people it inspires. For some people it helps. Some people it comforts, and it just helps keep you connected to your reality, and maybe even change your perspective. Maybe give you some answer that you might have been looking for. And personally, I think that is the best type of music, when it keeps you grounded in your reality and make your reality more positive.
Definitely. So, you know, when you're being creative, like, and you're producing, and where does that kind of creativity come from? Or does sometimes, like, you don't have any creativity? How does it all work, the process?
To be honest, it seems random sometimes, but there are certain things where you can look at and determine the factors. So, for example, I'm actually going through a point of not the best creative levels right now, you know. But what I do know is being around good energy will help. So being around other creatives, usually it will get something out of you.
Yeah.
You know, I think life, of course, is the biggest inspiration because that is the only experience we have.
Yeah.
And it, like, just going out and living life. So cooking, like, I've been cooking more personally. Like, you know, a lot of food that just tastes nice. You know, watching movies, going out, and you know, can't do as much because of Corona. But those type of things, like just living life and having more experiences, will provide you with inspiration to create. You know,
definitely. Has there, you know, we've got to ask you because it's a thing that people always ask. Has there ever been like a time, you don't have to name an artist, but has there ever been a time where you've produced a song but you wasn't really feeling it, like from an artist, or do you kind of work together?
I don't think so. I don't think I've produced anything that I don't like.
Okay.
You know, because gratefully the people who I've worked with, they're accepting of my sound. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I kind of have the creative control.
Okay.
In terms of making the beat and stuff. And usually the artists who I'm working with, they're good artists, you know.
Yeah.
So final product is usually pretty good.
That's good then. That's always positive. And so, you know, when it comes to working with lots of different artists, you've worked with Chronix, you know, Jan9, Protege, so many great artists, and the list continues. But have you worked with any kind of elders, and what has their response been to your beats?
I haven't really gotten in contact with any of them as yet, you know.
Okay.
To be honest, this production journey really started to work out maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, so last year was the first and only year so far where I've gotten some really good credits to my name. Before that, it was just me releasing stuff on my own, or, you know. And yeah, I think it will come in due time, you know, like I'll definitely have some people on my list that I'd want to produce for them still, and you know, a lot of elders involved there. So let's hope that they see this and they reach out to me too and let me know they're interested as well, you know.
For real, because there's something about you as a producer. I like how you kind of put all the kind of mixes together. I like as well that you kind of go with the feel of the song, you know, especially the tune that I liked was Highly, you know, with Chronix, Note to Self and Jan9. It was like they were kind of depressed, feeling kind of that, and then it was a great hit, great tune. I was feeling that vibe. And then, of course, you know, Searching Lost of Time, you know, with Protege, that was an energy, that was a vibe with Deliverance and things like that. So I was like, okay, I'm feeling this vibe.
For the Note to Self too, you know, that was also produced by Rumkus. Can't leave him out because he was instrumental in that instrumental.
For real. But, Wow. So tell us, how does that kind of, you know, you're in the studio, you're with these artists, how does the process happen? Do they just come with the tune and then you bring a beat? How does it kind of flow?
Sometimes it can really be anything, and that's the wondrous thing about music or creation in general, is that anything can happen, you know. So there have been instances where I would just play the beat or send the beat to an artist, and the artist will write on their own and they come back with the song. You know, sometimes it will be a case of me and the artist linking up, and the artist, I just build the rhythm right there while they write.
Okay.
You know, sometimes it's a case where, because even with Note to Self, what had happened was Jan9 actually wrote her part of the song when she linked up with me and Runkus to get a beat with it. You know what I mean? So it's just any way you take it, like, it can be done. But for the most part, it's sending the beat, you know?
Okay. Yeah, man, because they're definitely tunes, as I said. And then I know for yourself as well, you've been doing like different collabs that you've done with, is it Kyrax? Hope I'm saying his name right.
Yeah, man, that's Kyrax.
Yeah, for real. So tell us about that, because I know you did like loads of different releases. You know, I think Waves and Waves 2, Double Standard. How did they all come about?
Well, you know, that is some of those are the earliest songs that I ever worked on and put out, you know, and big up Carax, because me and him, we still work together from high school days.
Wow.
You know, that was when we were just learning stuff, we're just making music together and being excited about music, you know. His sound is different from what most people would know me for right now, which is more reggae-oriented stuff, whereas the music I'd make with Carax is more like dancehall mixed with R&B kind of vibes, you know.
Okay.
And yeah, those songs just came out of us experimenting with music at a young age, you know. But to the present day now, like, we've refined our sound a lot more, you know, and he's gearing up to release some new music as well. So I can't wait to put out some of these songs that we have for years now, you know.
Definitely. I hope I'm getting some of them.
No must man, you're there on the email.
Yeah, man.
Don't worry about that.
For real, because definitely loving the vibes and everything. So, with the up-and-coming artists, you know, the likes of Black Hero, Royal Blue, we've got Leonard Banton, and the list keeps going and going. So many great young artists coming up. Is there kind of like anyone in particular that the listeners should be looking out for, or up-and-coming music that they've got?
Yeah, man, all of them, you know, cause even there's so many names, and whenever I'm asked this question, it's like I freeze, because I really don't want to leave off anyone, because everybody's so talented, you know. But yeah, like Black Hero, Leonard Banton, you just mentioned another name and it slipped me, I think, and it's
Royal Blue.
Ryan, how could I forget? I have a song with him. But it's like, like, you know, Runkus, them, you know, King Eisen, them, you know, like there's so many. And I think once you look at Jamaica, especially because it's relatively small, you're just gonna see talent. It's so much. It's actually, it's not normal.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much talent here.
Yeah. But, you know, with that being said, there's so much talent, and do you think that Jamaica gets the kind of, I'm gonna say credit, but that's kind of what I mean, the credit that it deserves?
It seems we get the credit mostly when it's convenient, and it's not in a malicious way or a bad way, you know. It's just, or at least what I'm saying is not meant maliciously. It's just, you know, I wish that a lot of the people who pioneered these sounds that have been used all over the world, they would get the credit up front rather than on the back end, you know.
For real.
So yeah, a lot of big songs that you hear, the big pop songs, they take cadences, or they take even lines in some cases off of like some classic Jamaican songs, like, you know, and it's just for them, man, to get them credit, you know, and I think that's the most important thing, is just owning up to the fact that you use something, so just give it the credit.
The reason why I asked that, let me tell you why I ask it, is because, you know, I see lots of different awards and things like that, and I think, wow, we've got so many great pioneers. You know, Beres, for example, just an example, and I never hear his name on the BAFTA or, you know, anything like that, or mobile awards or anything of that nature, and I'm thinking, why not? Just an example. And then, you know, you've got these up-and-coming great young artists as well, and you never really hear them on mainstream, even though they've influenced so many young, great up-and-coming talent. You know what I mean? So it's a bit frustrating.
Yeah, it is, and what I'll say is that it becomes frustrating when we try to fit it into a system that already it doesn't function to make these people more known. You know, it's built to sustain a few people at the top, because it's not just Jamaica, it's all over the world. You know, like there are millions of artists who we will never know, who are probably the sickest thing, you know. And to me, I think it's good to get recognition from the establishments that already exist. You know, we should definitely just take pride in our own things as well. You know, like we shouldn't wait for anybody to recognize us for our contributions to music. We should just take pride in ourselves and maybe make an award with ourselves. You know, I think the Dubbies, that's an example of that. Just, you know, honoring and recognizing people now who are doing things now in the country, you know, and I think that's really the way to move forward. Like, you don't have to throw away the Grammys or anything, because of course a Grammy is great, but you want everybody to be recognized on a level.
Yeah,
you know?
For real. And, you know, with that being said, and it seems like at the moment the hot topic is responsibility of artists. And I wanted to know your opinion about it. Do artists have a responsibility?
I think everybody have a personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And it all deal with how their views on life and their morals. You know, every one of us as people have responsibility. You know, every one of us have a responsibility to keep our environment clean.
Yeah.
And some people throwing plastic out them windows, like somebody I saw on the road today, and it's like, I don't think, as much as artists have a platform, I think it's hypocritical to point out artists as the ones responsible for all of the social dysfunctions that we have. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, for example, what I'm saying right now is that dancehall music is the problem in terms of crime. And to that, I would say, I definitely think that dancehall music, violent dancehall music, it will inspire a lot of things, I'm sure, and people who are impressionable. But I don't think it's the root of the issue here, because at the end of the day, the music that people make that is violent or about any sort of negative thing, that comes from something, that comes from a reality. You know, and a lot of these realities we face, especially in Jamaica, come back to some sort of mismanagement of the country, or some corrupt government thing, you know. So personally, me as an artist and musician, I will keep up my end of things. Like, I won't really make no violent song or anything perpetuating it like that, but you know, like, to each them own is my response to that. Yeah,
and I suppose violence has been here way before, you know, dancehall ever was kind of seen as a violent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, them violence level from slavery to, you know.
Yeah, for real.
So it's like, I don't know what the point is with that argument, but alas.
Yeah, maybe it's a blame game. Who knows?
Man, a hypocrisy.
Yeah, for real. And, you know, we've also had discussions around, well, there's been loads of different kind of topics, should I say, about the authenticity of Rasta, you know, the fact of different things happening, and is it okay? I'm sure you've heard, like, different artists. And what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts about it?
I kind of have a similar stance, where I think is everybody, before anything, every man is an individual, and every man can choose what they want to do.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things that people will say is right, that others will say is wrong.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, nobody, like, you can even read it in the Bible, man can't judge man. And that judgment, so.
Yeah.
Me personally, like, I'm not going to take up myself and judge nobody for what I'm doing, even if I don't think it's the best thing or it's something that I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
I think that it's honestly a waste of time to watch other people's life when you have your own life to live.
Yeah, for real. Definitely. And then, you know, I need to talk about you baking and cooking and all these things. Tell us, you know, I want to know a little bit about it. I'm interested, you know. What kind of food and things like that do you cook? Is it IOTOSH? What kind of happens?
Yeah, man, it's mostly IOTOSH. I don't really eat meat. The only thing I eat sometimes is fish. But apart from that, it's just, you know, straight vegetarian vibes, you know?
Yeah, for real.
Just cook up some ground provision and some chickpeas and them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, with everything that's going on, do you think that, you know, yourself and the other great artists would be coming to the UK or anywhere for that matter?
Like, right now the world is just in a little crazy state that everything seems so uncertain. I have no clue what's gonna be happening.
Tell me about it.
But I'm really looking forward to stuff like that, to the place kind of freeing up, so that myself and other musicians can just, you know, like, fly out and meet people from different places, because that's what life is all about too.
Yeah, for real. You know, has there been a moment in time where you thought, you know what, that's encouraged me, like an encouraging moment? So I don't know, you're listening to a beat or you're hearing somebody. Has that happened for you?
Maybe once or twice.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe once or twice.
Okay. You didn't sound too confident with that.
Yeah, press me, man.
When it comes to music and things like that, a lot of the airwaves in the UK at the moment is around grime, it's around drill. Have you ever worked with grime and drill beats as well?
Yeah, kinda, you know.
Okay.
One of the songs that I released prior, you know, Nothing with Royal Blue, that was kind of grime inspired.
Okay.
I rate grime music still, and I just love the delivery and the rawness of it, and you know, like as much as some things have a stigma, you know, same as with dancehall, it's just what elements you can take from it and make something good. And I rate grime, and I'm a grime tune basically.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, a lot of the grime kind of culture is based around Jamaican kind of influences, you know, with the clashing, everything is, you can even see dancehall in there, you can see reggae clashing, like a whole different influence. Is that mad to see from yourself? Like you grow up in Jamaica, you see yourselves and then you're like, whoa, grime's come along and it's kind of like similar, or is it just a blessing?
I mean, it happened before me even born.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I don't know if it's a blessing or not, but I just know say it exists before me, and I just have to be in amazement, you know, like something before my time happened that caused grime to exist. It's like you're born and you come see a tree and somebody tell you, hey, somebody planted that tree like 30 years ago. I can't even comprehend it, but reading up on it, you know, knowing how people migrated from Jamaica to UK or from the Caribbean to UK, and like all of that sow the seeds then where we see come to be grime now, and just the influence of Jamaica in the music, you know.
Definitely. And so, you know, who influences you? Who inspires you? You know, like who are you listening to at the minute?
To be honest, I've been listening to a lot of instrumental music as of recently.
Okay.
I guess I'm just like, I have a lot of artists who I listen to already, you know. Of course, influences like Bob or Junior Gong, you know, Protege, Chronix. You know, like some rapper influences, you know, like Nas and Eminem, them, Andre 3000. But right now, I'm just listening to like Krung Bin, which is like a US band that just plays some crazy music. I've been listening to Pino Palladino, which is this crazy bassist, but he released a little project that I've been listening on repeat. It's just, I've just been looking for new music as of recent. That's kind of my vibe right now.
For real. In talking to is Rockers Element. Don't know if you've heard of them, but they're definitely a vibe and energy from Jamaica as well.
I never heard of them, but I can check them out.
Yeah, man, I can send the link to you, but definitely. And so, you know, one thing that inspires me is the fact that you're still a very young person, you know, up and coming in the business. What can you say to other young people, you know, if they want to be a producer, artist? What can you say to them?
I would say if you're going into music to make a living, you should definitely read up on the business of music. You know, learn about the copyright involved, learn about what responsibilities you will take on as the creator of a piece of music. And I think that is the key to everything, because if you're going into music, more than likely you already know what music sound like, and you know how you want it to sound, you know. So that part is relatively, it's a simpler part, but it's just when the business part comes in, like, you just want to ensure that you're protected so that you aren't exploited, because that's kind of been the culture of music business in general. It's like you exploit the younger ones who don't know what they're getting into. So definitely I feel like that's the best piece of advice. Like, keep on making music, but also learn about the business so you don't get exploited.
For real, that's a blessing. And so, you know, when it comes to like, I don't know, I want to say the top 3 songs kind of that you've kind of produced and put out there, what would you say?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
I have to ask you a hard question. Have to.
Let me think. I wonder if I can pull up my production playlist real quick. I would say Note to Self.
Mm.
I would say Self Defense from Proto album.
Yeah.
And probably say Rich Forever.
Okay.
With Jesse and Cartel. That's up there right now for me, but it may change. That whole list may change, you know.
For real. But you know what? Those 3 songs that you mentioned are fire tunes. That's how we're going to say it. Definitely.
Give thanks.
Definitely. And so, you know, with yourself being an artist, can we expect something more from you as an artist up and coming?
For sure. Actually, I'm releasing a song next month.
Okay.
As soon as we get everything together, you know, I'll send it to you. But I'm really excited for that release because, you know, the last time I released was Reasons, and that was 2 years ago. And, you know, in those last 2 years, I've learned a lot about the music thing, you know, and I can't wait to share the results of what I've learned throughout that time.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. And so, you know, when I told my friend that I was coming and I was going to interview yourself, they were like, ask him what you think about, you know, racism and those sort of things, because that seems to be the hard-hitting thing at the moment. So what is your thoughts?
First of all, you know, so born racism.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, it's such a loaded question. I just don't say it wrong. I don't really. It's just not right, you know. And anybody who believe in it, I think them is a fool. And I think say, you know, them to let go off of the hatred. But the truth is, at the end of the day, I'll come back to a system that kind of perpetuate them thing here, you know, until the system get dismantled, until it change. You know, some people think you can't change it or you can't dismantle it. But until things change with the system, it's just, you know, like, it just looks bleak, you know, because certain things just shouldn't be tolerated, and they are.
Yeah, definitely. For real, yeah. You know, and the reason why I think as well, you know, I've decided to ask you that question is I've seen as well that there's a lot based around colorism as well. You know, the fact of light skin, dark skin, all these different opinions and what's been happening, you know, with bleaching and things like that. Have you seen an increase? Because we hear it, but have you personally seen an increase of like bleaching and self-hatred of skin color?
No, I mean, I don't really leave my house that often, to be honest with you. So I don't really see what's going on out there like that.
For real.
But I know that is a reality.
For real. Music is ever going to be kind of, I'm going to say, accepted. Because even though we have so much great music, we have so much positivity, there's always seems to be a negative thought, or somebody's got something negative to say, like, you know, don't fuse music, don't do this, don't do that. Do you think there'll ever just be an acceptance of how you've produced, or anyone's produced?
I think my personal take on that is that I'm focusing on the people who gravitate towards me. I'm not trying to win over anybody. You know, I don't make music for people to like me or to accept my views and things. I make music that reflects my views and values and attracts people with a like mine. At the very least, the people who I want to listen to my music, at the very least, them have to like how it sounds. Yeah. If you don't like how it sounds or you don't like what I'm saying, then that's fine. I'm just not your cup of tea. So that's kind of my perspective on that. You know, like yeah.
For real. And so, what do you like to do in your pastime? I know you just said you stay in your house. So, apart from making beats and putting music together, what else do you like to do?
You know, I cook sometimes.
Yeah.
I read. You know, I do a lot of reading.
Yeah.
play football. I actually going to play some football very soon.
Okay.
But apart from that, yeah, I talk on the phone. There's not a crazy amount of things, you know. But yeah. I think that is the gist of my life right now, you know.
Yeah, I know that it's a bit crazy as well with lockdown and all those things over there.
It's frustrating, but it's all in the hopes that things will get better.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when that will be, but I'm just holding on to the hopes that things will get better, you know.
For real. And so, what are the hope? You know, what are the kind of feelings out there at the moment? You know, with the elders, the youngers. What is the general feeling out there?
The people are just frustrated. You know, everybody wants normalcy to return, but it's just not gonna be so simple. And we're just the only thing that's gonna tell is time, you know. So
definitely,
we just have to see how the time progresses.
For real. And so, you know, I have to say to you that it's been a blessing. I hope that we can keep on conversating, you know, through IG and things. It's definitely been an honor, you know, and it's a blessing as well to see and hear, you know, all the great works that you're doing, for real.
Thanks, I appreciate that all the time. I know we can definitely keep in touch.
Yeah.
And thanks again for sharing your platform with me. You know, that's greatly appreciated as well. And,
yeah, man.
you know, like just keep doing your part because you're definitely giving a shine and a platform to a lot of artists, myself included, or even musicians who just won't get that. You know, so I appreciate that part too.
Anytime. And you know, I'll have to share some poetry with you one time.
Poetry?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I love poetry. Poetry is a vibe.
Yeah, man, for sure, man. Send them and we'll go through them, you know?
Yeah, man, definitely. And so I suppose the only last thing is before you go and play some ball is to ask you to, you know, big me up. Do a little big up if you're up for that.
No, man, for sure. So, you know, this is IOTOSH and I'm representing for DJKat the Katalyst. Don't know, baddest.
Yeah, bless up, bless up. You know what, like I said, it's been a blessing and an honor. And, you know, just keep, like I say, just keep doing the works because I'm feeling the beats, feeling the vibes for real.
Appreciate it. I'll give thanks and